Now we're live. Hey everybody, welcome to the first tribe meeting of the season. Everybody was way on top of things this morning, which I'm actually really impressed with. People don't usually figure it out right away, so I already know this is going to be the most successful group ever. Our neighborhood friendly Sean Coyne will be joining us in a few minutes. We had kind of a wild night last night, so he is going to be joining us shortly, and we'll fill you in on the craziness of our wild nights. Sean and I have a standing date every Friday, so he'll be joining us in a couple minutes. Now, for those of you who are watching on the spillover link on the broadcast, do me a favor and let me know in the chat box that audio is okay, that you can hear us all, that you can see our handsome and beautiful faces. So just do me a favor in the chat box. There's about a 40-second delay, so by the time you hear it, I'll have been staring at the screen for 40 seconds. Just let me know in the chat box that we're all good. So what I want to do is a little bit different than what we would traditionally do in a, hold on, Clement says your Tribe Hangout page, and the pin note says you generally start your hands at. Thank you for that heads up. We will edit that because we changed the time this round, so thanks for the heads up. In fact, I'll do that while we're talking. But I want to do things a little bit differently than we normally would on the first hangout, and because most of you are a little bit beyond where kind of the beginner would be in this business. Most of you get the general concept. You know what you need to do as far as sourcing products. You know what you need to do about what type of markets you need to be in. What I'd like to do is I'd like to recap a little bit about the Hot Niche Report, just for those of you who are participating, those of you who I'm circling right now. Do me a favor. We're not going to talk about actual niche markets on this, just to protect those who are going through the PDF and prevent that from leaking over on YouTube or whatever. So we're not going to talk about specific markets, but I want to talk about some overall concepts that were shared in that niche report and expand a little bit about those. The thing that is most important, and I hope that you get out of reading that report, is that the focus of going into this business is not around a product. You can build a business around just about any suite of products as long as you're targeting a specific market and there are enough products within that market where you can tackle a channel. Now, I think beyond Amazon. I won't go into a market unless there is volume outside of Amazon. That's what most people in this business don't get. That's why tribe members are so much more successful over the long term than your average person going into this business, because we hammer this point home that there needs to be volume outside of Amazon, not just taking advantage of a channel. Then you're at the mercy of a channel. If the channel goes out of business, if it makes a change next week, then you're toast. So we don't want to focus on having, like, the most annoying words in the world to me are, I have an Amazon business, or, oh, you have an Amazon business? There's no friggin' such thing as an Amazon business unless you're Amazon. Then you have an Amazon business. Or if you're a Brazilian farmer that harvests acai berries, then you have an Amazon business because you're in the Amazon. But there's no such thing as having an Amazon.com business. You have a business and you take transactions and sales on Amazon.com as your channel. So if you're just looking at the data on Amazon and trying to duplicate what everybody else is doing, you're toast way before you even begin. A perfect example of this is Garcinia Cambogia. Garcinia Cambogia was a huge, huge weight loss supplement a couple of years ago. People who got it early made gobs and gobs of money, and now they're toast for the most part. I mean, there's still decent volume in that market, but because there were so many people that came into the marketplace and looked at the data and said, "Wow, there's all these sales for Garcinia Cambogia, I'm going to sell that." and then the trend dips, and you're out of business because there's now not enough volume to sustain the competition on the first 6 pages for keywords. So that's a ride that you can, that's a wave that you can ride for a little bit, but it's not something that you can build a business around. It is not something that you can build a long-term sustainable income stream around unless you then are within the first, top of page 1, the top set of suppliers for that product, and that is only going to sell in line with what the trend does. One way that you can identify something that might be strong to go into that has some data outside of Amazon is by looking at Google Trends. So I like to play with google.com/trends and to just look at what are some of the keywords that I'm going to be looking at, what are some of the topics that are in my niche market, and we want to look for growing trends. So let's do something fun, and hopefully I do this right. One time I tried to do this, and I kicked everybody off the Hangout, so please forgive me if I do that. So you all should see my screen now. Those of you on the Hangout, give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Cool, thank you. All right, so let's hop on over to google.com/trends. Take a look at the trend we were just talking about. Cambodia. Ooh, that's fancy. So do you see how we have this big peak and then this absolute collapse? That is not a trend that we want to be in. We want to be out of this market because as a result of this, we know that by it peaking, a bunch of competitors are going to come in. With it collapsing, there's now not enough volume to sustain all of the competition. This is why people lose their shirt going into this now, but everybody heard about everybody making a bunch of money previously. Let's do a different one. Now if we're going for yoga, this is a strong, consistent trend. And look, it's actually a lot bigger than Cambodia. So now this is not necessarily yoga mats, this is just the topic of yoga, but we have a very strong, consistent, upward growing trend. And then if we were to say, let's just say gluten-free, for example. Gluten-free, very, very small. A couple years ago, now it's a growing trend. We all know that it's a growing trend. All right, so, or if we say something like the paleo diet. Nothing, 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 boom, big spike. Now it's evening out a bit, but it's not collapsing like some of the markets that we were looking at. And now I want to turn off my screen share. Come on. Come on, Google Hangouts. And there we go. And our neighborhood-friendly Sean Coyne is here, everybody. Everybody wave to your neighborhood-friendly Sean Coyne. No, literally no one waved.
I
did. So I was telling them before about how we had a pretty wild night.
Oh yeah.
How we went, and that you were recovering a bit, which is why you weren't.
I am.
You weren't with us there.
Fell asleep halfway through a TV show.
Ah.
Whew. I need to cool it.
So why don't you fill in the tribe members about your wild night?
Oh, where to start? So Ryan and I went.
We're about to feel really sorry for Sean.
We went to a very nice restaurant called Henry's last night, which was a great start to the night. And
we talked about world domination
Yes.
and Amazon loopholes and things we can't share about yet because we're still experimenting with them.
And then we made ice cream. Or no, we made ice cream
We did.
beforehand.
And it overfroze.
Because I fell asleep halfway through the TV
It
show.
overfroze.
And then after...
Because John fell asleep at like 11:30.
And this is where the night gets real crazy. So, don't judge me. We moved furniture.
Mm-hmm.
So after dinner, we rearranged bedroom furniture.
We did.
And then watched TV and fell asleep at like 11:50.
Woo, Sean went hard last night. Moving furniture, watching Trailer Park Boys.
Trailer Park Boys.
Everybody. And now we're drinking coffee with butter and MCT oil and coconut cream. Brain fuel. All right, so the main point in that niche report is that you can build a business around anything as long as it's got a specific target market and you can identify different products within those markets. Those are differentiating factors from what most people are using to analyze a market. We also look at what type of outside traffic or what type of outside exposure is around this topic. So one of the things I look for are TV ads, radio ads, banner ads, anything that has a growing trend. Like we decided to go into the yoga space a couple years ago because yoga was just a growing outside trend. Dan Newman asks, do you look for established trends? What about new popular products on a rapid upward trend but not with much history? So this would be following the Garcinia Cambogia train. That would be an example of what you're bringing up. The popular trends that are growing but don't have much history. Those work fine in an established brand. I would not attempt to build a business around that if you are first starting out. So if you've got an established brand of products and you target a very specific audience, and then a new trend happens, it is more than okay to then have another product come out and it be something that's new, that doesn't have the sales history yet, but that is in a growing trend. That is a perfect spot for it because now it's extra cash flow that fuels the rest of the business as you continue to serve that specific target market. There are some people, and I was on the phone with somebody yesterday who was applying for the next level, which is my workshop for people who are at 50 to 100, sometimes over $100,000 a month, and we work on scaling them to $200,000, $500,000 a month. And I turned this person away because they were starting to transition over into having a target market, but they were more going after trends with their products, and that is not going to be a long-term business. That's a cash flow play, which is fine. It's just not a long-term scalable business. You don't happen to have the chat pulled up, do you?
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, this guy is just on top of things.
Oh, Ken says, wow, you guys are crazy. Woo! That's right, Ken. That's right.
Is right. Ken is right. So what I'd like to do is that's kind of the step one, obviously, get a good product, be a good supplier, but for those of you who are new to this business or are starting your business, those are the criteria that I would recommend you build your next business or your first business around. Are outside trends, bigger than just Amazon, a growing trend, and has outside exposure in Google, or not Google ads, banner ads, radio ads, TV ads. Those are all good signs that you're in a market that has enough volume to go into. And sometimes by following these criteria, you'll find little markets that don't make sense when people just look at the Amazon data. But because I don't care about building an Amazon business, doesn't exist. I care about building a business and Amazon being my channel. I'll go after where there's a lot of volume, not necessarily on Amazon, because I know that eventually I'm going to be selling in other channels as well. I'm going to be doing things like radio and TV ads. I'm going to be doing things like celebrity sponsorships. I'm going to be doing things outside of what our traditional model tells us. That's how you build $1 million a month plus business, which is what we're eventually going for. Would you add anything to that, Mr. Coyne?
No, I think
Actually, I want to ask. Let's go in a completely different direction.
okay.
Because you coach people who are just getting started.
Yeah.
What mistake do you see people making when they're first starting?
That's a perfect question. I think the number one problem that I see is just trying to do too many things at once.
What do you mean exactly?
So trying to find a product and at the same time start building your Facebook page, at the same time start building a blog, at the same time start running YouTube ads, all these things that don't matter until you decided on what you're going to sell. So the number one thing that I have been able to add value is just kind of organizing and prioritizing. Um, I think most of the people just starting right now are probably at the stage where they're still searching for that product. And I would say trying to get caught up in all the other stuff. Now, searching the product is not the most exciting thing in the world, but if you don't have a product, you shouldn't be building a page. What if that totally doesn't work out and you wasted all your time? That's the worst case. The best case is you are looking for a product and you're distracted and you're split 600 different ways, and you could have found a better product by just doing that.
So do you tell people to just go one thing at a time, like go choose your market, then go choose your supplier? Now we work on marketing. Is that the logical flow that you take people?
Yeah, I mean, and some things you can do more than one at a time, but I think at the very beginning it's super important to not try and jump ahead.
When your product is on a boat somewhere in the Pacific Ocean,
then you can start doing three or four things because it's not going to slow that boat down.
Okay, cool. So I would say that delaying decisions is really what we're trying to avoid. So don't putz around with Facebook pages and blogs if you haven't made a decision yet on what your supplier is, on what your product is. Once you make a decision, decisions equal progress. The more decisions you can make, the faster the progress it is that you make.
Yeah, I think to that point, you're selling a physical product. So at the very worst case, you can sell your product as long as you make a reasonable choice. You're not trying to sell televisions. Don't try and sell televisions. But if you try and sell a reasonable product, in the very worst case, you can sell it at your cost and break even and start on with the product and have learned gain a ton of experience, which will totally be worth your time.
Yep.
So I think people get too caught up in what if this isn't perfect? It's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. There is no perfect thing out there.
I listened to a great interview with Tim Ferriss yesterday where he was talking about exactly that. We need to look at things as experiments, not as lifelong decisions. You can always change an experiment. This coffee is really good. That was really awkward. Good thing no one was recording that. And just so you know, this coffee, made by a tribe member and sold on Amazon. And it's good, really good.
It's really good stuff.
Now, this tribe member has a coffee business. So does Sean, by the way. We'll talk about that in a second. But this person actually has a coffee business with roasters and lots of machinery. So they control the entire process. But one of the ways that they take sales is on Amazon, and they're doing very, very well because it's really freaking good coffee. It is probably the freshest stuff I've ever had. But a tribe member sells it on Amazon.
I wonder if you can get the 1 hour shipping for it. You can get 1 hour shipping now.
In Austin?
Really? 1 hour shipping.
Really?
Yeah.
We should test that. If anybody wants to send us lots of free stuff, preferably diapers, I'll take them. In about 4 tribe meetings, there will be a third tribe member joining us. She won't have any idea what's going on because she will be a baby. But yeah, Sean and I are finally adopting. I couldn't resist. All right, what's coming in on the chat bot?
Let's see. EJ Rooster says, with the product in hand, what are the top 3 areas to focus on for building awareness and increasing sessions? So it seems like the question is, how do you get more people on your page?
Will you read it one more time?
Yeah. With the product in hand, what are the top 3 areas to focus on for building awareness and increasing sessions for the Amazon channel as part of a relaunch? Conversion will have to be there too. How do you increase traffic?
Get higher keyword rankings. Done. That was easy. I actually want to address a question that came out of the chat box that says not private label coffee, smiley face. I want to address this for a second because I don't believe in the whole private labeling approach. It's overdone. That's how people. Private labeling is fine if that's how you're going to start. But the point is never to have a business that is all private label products, in my opinion. We started right out of the gate without private labeling. Well, I mean, we made a couple tweaks to the private label.
It's still pretty custom.
But yeah, we made custom changes to it, and now the product that exists now is completely custom. But I don't believe in long-term having a business that's just the same thing that everybody else is doing. What differentiating factor do you have to make you a business? If you ever listen to the podcast where I say 2 things that make a real business. Number 1, you have a defined target market. Number 2, you bring unique value to the marketplace. Now, unique value could be targeting a group of people that have never been targeted before. That's unique value because that target market has never seen this product. But if everybody is marketing exactly the same thing to all of the same people, what unique value do you bring? You're now at the mercy of somebody else of having your product. So I believe in making custom changes to your product as soon as possible. You have my blessing if you are going to white label something to start, to build up the traffic channels, to build up the customer flow, to build up the review count, to save some money. You have my blessing to do that. But you should be thinking about how do I go in to produce unique value into this product in this marketplace, not what little thing can I white label right away. That was great 2 years ago, not so good anymore. Especially as consolidation continues to mature, you have a few winners who can do that process, but most people that try to do it like everybody else get their shirts handed to them. So that's why I highly recommend bringing some form of unique value to your industry. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to unmute all. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have all of you unmute yourselves. So that's kind of the teaching point of here. What we do now is if you want to unmute yourself, you are welcome to do so. If you've got background noise, or if you're not wearing headphones, please grab headphones, or at least if you've got like some mics are better about not to get feedback. So if you've got a question, unmute yourself. Once you've asked your question or you're done, you can put yourself back on mute just to reduce background noise. And we will we'll answer any questions you've got about the training you're going through or about your business in general. So, Tribe, this is your time.
Hi, Ryan. Can I ask
Guy?
some questions? Yeah. Hi, my name is Gal. This is Danielle, my wife.
Hi, guys.
Nice meeting you all. I wanted to ask you about what you just said about this unique value. If we are talking this many products we have in the market, I don't know, beauty products, supplements, whatever, can we talk about some ideas or examples of how to add this unique value proposition or unique value?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So there's a couple ways that we can approach this. One, I have a supplement company, and that supplement company sells pretty standard supplements, nothing that's, I mean, like evergreen supplements. We're not going after a lot of trends. We tried doing that, and it didn't go very well. So our unique value is we try to have the most potent product at the best price compared to everybody else. We also work really, really hard on our marketing, and we highlight certain features about our product that most people don't highlight. For example, my favorite story on this topic is, I think it's Coors Light. You know this story?
Yeah.
We've talked about this. So Coors Light had a marketing plan several decades ago that still continues to this day, where they advertise their beer as triple hops brewed. What most people don't know is that all beer is triple hops brewed. But nobody ever used that as a marketing angle. Nobody ever said our beer's triple hops brewed. And it's like saying our coffee's roasted. I mean, all of it triple hops brewed, all of it's roasted, but nobody had ever highlighted that before, so Coors Light went all in on this marketing campaign to say that their beer was triple hops brewed purity. That was a unique marketing proposition that highlighted them differently than everybody else. Now, in beauty or supplements, you can also do it with formulations, with ingredients. You can have, here's an example. Any of you old enough to remember Mana V? Mana V was a multi-level marketing company that pioneered the acai berry. Wow, that's twice today. The acai berry has come up on the tribe calls. That's weird. Let's look at the Google Trends for acai berry because they're embarrassing. But Mana V was this probably billion-dollar MLM that's now basically non-existent. But they had a formula. It's a fantastic product. I mean, you can say what you want about the company or the business model, but it was a fantastic product. And they highlighted in their marketing the crown jewel, the acai berry, the super fruit. It was really this much acai in it, and then a bunch of goji berry, mangosteen, noni noni, and all other good stuff, but really only like this much acai berry. But they highlighted that as the centerpiece because it was a cool marketing angle, and because they got to use something that was really different. And at the time, it was really expensive to source. Not a lot of people had done it. Now you had other competitors come out, like Sambazon is a company that has just completely now owns the acai market because you can get it at Walmart. So if you just add in an ingredient and use that as the centerpiece of your marketing, add in a different formulation, highlight something different in your marketing that nobody else has marketed before. But in consumables, it really comes down to what your formulations are, the quality, who you're targeting. These are all things that you can focus on to be different than your competition. All that makes sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Cool. Who else would like to go? Who would like
Can
feedback?
I jump in?
Chosen? Who is that? I heard a voice. Elliot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey. Yeah. If you're picking a product and when you buy the product, you're expecting to have to buy something else with it, but that's essential to its use, but people don't expect it to come free. So, you know, if you bought a phone from Apple, you'd expect headphones with it. So you need it to use the product effectively, but in this case, people don't expect it to come with the product. If I'm launching one of the products, would you recommend doing one at a time and then the second essential piece people need to go to someone else, or launch two at the same time?
That's a great question. I would say it's very market dependent, but we had a similar experience with the yoga spray and the yoga mat, where you kind of need the two, or a yoga towel. You need the two together, but you don't expect them to come together. So we sold them separately. Someone gave us a piece of advice that we did not take. Had we not sold the company, we probably would have done this, which was to put together a yoga kit. I saw him last week. I don't know if I told you that. I told you last week.
Oh, no.
He's a good person. Anyway, we were going to put together a kit of a yoga mat, a yoga towel, 2 yoga blocks, discount it a little bit, but it'd be kind of a higher end purchase.
Okay.
$80. And that was going to be an additional option. We were not going to make it only the bundle. So I would recommend you allow the two to be separate, but then you combine a version that is slightly discounted but higher end. Because then you get 2 listings for the same product too. But don't only combine them. I would encourage you to keep them separate, but then you could have an additional listing that combines them.
Okay, so starting out, launching the first product, should I just launch one at a time and focus on that?
Yes.
Cool, thank you.
Now, you can launch them both at the same time if you want, but I would launch them as individual products.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
And then you can come out with a package, or it's only a little bit extra work. I mean, you have to treat it like a different product and have your manufacturer combine them and ship them separately.
Yeah, just take a little more upfront cost.
Yes, yeah. I think we try to do that in all of our businesses. How can we get an additional listing by doing some sort of combination or multi-unit package and get 2 listings now? I think that's a great idea, but start with them separate.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks.
What's coming up on the chat?
There's a follow-up question that would the kit be new packaging or just a bundle on another listing? They sound like the same thing. A bundle on another listing.
Yeah, I don't quite follow.
No.
Would it be
I guess
packaging?
No, the packaging wouldn't be different. Same exact product, just like shrink wrapped together. That's the question.
Man, I get so excited about life when I drink this coffee. Like I'm so stoked for all of you. There's one. Oh, it was over here. Clement, our neighborhood friendly Clement asks, parent-child relationships.
I think the guy was asking about parent-child relationships versus having separate listings altogether.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't think you can do a combo as a child.
You can.
I don't think you're supposed to. It's
Okay,
supposed to be a single
that might be
variation.
true.
Like the color is supposed to be different, or like the size. It's supposed to be the same product, but slightly different.
Yeah.
Correct. I wouldn't do a combo.
Yeah.
You might.
You can do it. You might not. It may not be within TOS. That's true because you can actually make anything parent-child. Do you know some people? This is actually really smart. Some people are using parent-child for their entire suite of products. Now this is so not like these people will get shut down. Like these people will suffer, but as
soon as they get
as a loophole, it's really smart because somebody who's got a product with 1,000 reviews that adds an additional product as its child, a completely different product. It shows up in the search rankings as a different product. It shows up as a different product because it's a completely different copy. Because you click over on the child, it gets different copy. It shows up in the search engines as but it's got 1,000 reviews, even though it's the same product. It's so against. I am not recommending this, but it's very creative.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes watching the people there's often questions about my competition's breaking the rules here and they're breaking the rules here. What do I do about this? Take notes. That's sometimes watching what people do creatively that are loopholes that are going to get shut down that I wouldn't recommend people copy are really interesting for inspiration and creative thought. There was somebody we were talking about. There's somebody who was breaking our terms of service. Obviously, they were incentivizing reviews. They were marketing to their customers how they shouldn't be. If we reported them to Amazon, they'll probably get shut down. But looking at what they were doing, we looked back and said, actually, there's some intelligence behind what they're going for. So how could we model this in a way that creates goodwill for the customer, doesn't try to dupe them? How do we look at the general idea or the goal without saying, okay, we got to do something unethical here, because we don't want to do that. I was having a conversation with an employee this week where I said our goal is to create value at every interaction in the process. Everything is, there are no loopholes we want to exploit. There's nothing like unethical or misleading about anything we want to do. But if there are creative ways that we can add value at every step of the process, even if it costs us money because we're investing into our customers, that's the type of business that it is that we want to build. What question just came up? I saw something. Okay, great question that just popped up. When you want to bring unique value to market by offering an alternative version of a popular product, do you need to worry if there's actual demand for the alternative product? Fantastic question. First of all, if it's a spin on an already popular product, no. If it's something that is going to enhance the person's experience of that, no, that will make you stand out from everybody else. However, if you're doing something completely different, there's something that is really, really valuable, but there's no current demand, you don't want to do that as your first product. We talk about this pretty heavily at the next level. We talk about, okay, you've got a source of customers now. How can you use that source of customers to now launch products that currently weren't in your peripheral, that don't match the data of what's popular, but you have the customer base now that you can launch that to. Can you create a marketplace now for this? We talk about how to do that, when to do that at the next level, but I would not recommend doing that as your first product, maybe as your 5th product. For those of you who are on the Hangout, you can unmute yourself and ask questions at any time. Actually, sometimes I like to call people out, so I'm going to call out Clement, because Clement, you and I have had back and forth before, but I actually know very little about you. So would you unmute yourself? I don't even know where you're based. Remind me.
Toronto.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I travel a lot between Hong Kong, Waterloo, Ontario, and then the States for my other business. And we help companies. My other business is that we help companies make aluminum parts, pretty specialized stuff for different applications in North America. But we make them in China and Malaysia.
Cool. Have we met in person before, or have we only ever interacted on Facebook?
Only on Facebook.
Okay, cool. How's business going, and what's preventing you from going, to that next level?
So I guess I was pretty slow in getting products out, and despite my experience in sourcing and having staff overseas, I found that it was actually a lot easier to find our first product domestically. And so we launched our first product about a month and a half ago, actually a little under a month. And then so we're looking at our second product. So we're currently over 10K for the last 30 days. And our second product is about double in price. And I guess my question would relate to when you kind of ask for reviews, is there anything that you do to prompt them to mention keywords or specific experiences or things like that?
The only thing I care about in terms of reviews is quantity and quality. I'll take care of all of the copy on my listing, on my headlines. I don't care what they say in their review as long as there's a lot of them. And so no, I guess the question is we don't prompt them to say anything. We just want them to be real and for them to share, hopefully, the good experience that they had. I'll take care of all the copy and everything on my actual listing. So no, I don't focus on getting them to say something specific.
Okay, so I guess a rephrase would be, do you do anything to help improve the quality of the responses or the reviews?
That comes from a long-term relationship with our customers. So if you've got somebody who has bought several times, that can be somebody that you go to and write up a personal email to, and you ask them to share your experience, and when they email you back if it's positive, ask them to post it as a review. That's something. So when we first started, we were just targeting people who were buying multiple products who had come back and bought more. And for a while, like within our first month, I would call them personally and be like, I just saw you ordered a bunch of our products. Tell us about your experience. And they would just rave about it. Like, why wouldn't they rave about it? They just bought 10 units of your product. And then you get, thank you so much for chatting with me. I'm going to send you some additional stuff just as a way of thank you. Would you mind posting an Amazon review just summarizing what we talked about today? Now, we don't do that anymore because we've got enough really high-quality reviews where I don't really care. My experience now is mostly our competitors are fraudulently posting reviews, so how do we keep pace with them by doing it in a cool and ethical way? And how do we build so much goodwill with our customers that they naturally want to leave reviews? So those are the things we're talking about now, but when you're first starting out, you want to build up really high-quality ones that you can highlight and get voted up. That's one of the ways you can do that, is targeting people who have purchased multiple.
And so I guess you were talking about calling people, and do you call people for like new launches or anything like that still, or is that just...
We only call people one time, because calling people doesn't really build goodwill if it's done more than one time. You can call somebody one time and say, just want to make sure your order arrived on time, everything that you asked for, that it's there's no problems. That builds goodwill. When you start calling them to advertise, we're now taking from the customer rather than giving to the customer. So we do more of that in our launch planning, in getting our customers to like us on Facebook, to follow our blogs. We'll do more of the targeting to our customer base that way in subsequent follow-ups.
Okay, and you're a strong supporter of Zonblasts, and I guess my question related to that is, I know that they took away the Zon or the review boost and things like that. Is there anything that you do to increase the level or the number of reviews that get left after a blast?
Not from a Zonblast, because the purpose of a Zonblast is not to get reviews, even though you will get them. It's something like, on average, 15 or 20% end up leaving reviews anyway. But that's not the reason why we do them. We do them in order to spike algorithm, to rank for keywords, and that is the only reason why we would do that. I do know people who will use Zonblast just for the reviews, but I think that's, I don't know, that's like saying, I don't think that's a proper use of it. But there are people who do that just because they know they're going to get 20% reviews on those. If they give away 100, they'll get 20 extra reviews. But that's not what it's marketed for. That's not what it's. I think that's a bit of misuse of that. It should just be for spiking the algorithm. There are services who advertise that they have really high review rates. That makes me a little bit nervous. Just the fact of, are they incentivizing reviews? Yeah, I don't know if that's for terms of service. Did they disclose that they got it for a discount? Amazon's starting to crack down on that a bit. So I just use it for the algorithm spike.
Okay.
The reviews come from real full purchase buyers that are customers of ours that we have targeted, that we have strategically followed up with.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Of course. It's coming in the chat. Let's see.
Ryan,
Yes.
just wanted to add something for something you just said about the product launch. So how can I figure out how many units should I give away for a certain keyword? If it should be 50 or 200, for example, there is any way to check it out?
There's no way to be able to estimate it except that a year ago, 50 products as a giveaway probably would have done just fine. Today, that doesn't happen so much. That it's more who can give away the most, the fastest. So I think the minimum you should give away is 100, no matter what your product is. And beyond that, it's just a matter of how competitive is your space. So if you have 5 people with BSRs under 500, you want to be on the very aggressive side of things. If the #1 player in your space is a BSR of 2,000, you can probably be more conservative. There's not a way to calculate how many are going to do it. It's just a matter of how competitive is this market, how much am I okay losing on this blast, and then making a decision from there. But I recommend going at least 100 on all blasts.
Okay, and one more question. When I'm choosing keywords for the giveaway, what would be better, to choose a keyword when I'm right now at page 7 and to get to page 2, or to choose a keyword that at the moment I'm on page 2 and try to get onto page 1?
The latter. You always want to be going after where there's the most immediate impact felt. So if you've got something that's on page 2, that with one blast will go to page 1, that can double your sales. Worry about the thing that you're on page 7 for later. Go after where tomorrow, if you're on page 1 for something, you'll see an immediate impact. Go there first. Because those sales will carry, if you double sales on a keyword, that will boost all the other keyword rankings as well. It'll be like the thing that pulls the rest of your business forward. So do that one first, then go into the more secondary keywords.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, how are you?
You look very good in front of a microphone. It's almost like You're a podcaster or something.
Yeah, almost something like that. Hey, I appreciate it.
You should have a podcast. I'm thinking private label podcast. How about
You know,
that?
that is catchy. I'll have to give you credit for it now that you
That's
thought of the
good.
name. Hey,
I podcast because I have a radio face.
yes, you definitely have a radio face. I have a what they call a face for radio, and I have a voice for newspaper. So I have none of the
I
things
had
that
a
are.
radio show in college, and I went by Radio Face Ryan.
That's great. I had a radio show in college too. You know what the name of it was? Naked in the Morning. So I'll just leave it at that, and won't go into any more detail.
Cool.
But the thing I was gonna jump in there on the blast. Another mistake I see a lot of people making is they try to target too many keywords with a blast. You know, especially when they're first starting out. We get a lot of questions. They'll say, "Hey, which of these 15 keywords should I target for my first blast?" And so I just really want to encourage people to look at the blast as an opportunity to, over time, accomplish your goals for all of those keywords. But the more you can really pare it down, especially early on, and pick one or two of your top keywords, as you just said, go after the low-hanging fruit, what's going to have the most immediate impact, and then follow up later on with the additional ones, I think people see a lot better results.
100%, because you're spreading yourself thin on multiple keywords. You can't rank with a giveaway of 50 anymore. And if you give away 150, but you spread over 3 keywords, you're like hitting an elephant with a fly swatter 3 times rather than pulling out a bazooka.
Exactly.
So what I would like to highlight your podcast for a second, because I know it's just coming from a complete place of like, it's the same thing as Freedom Fast, and you're just giving away the keys to the kingdom. So let's give everybody a 20-second overview of your podcast.
Well, I appreciate it, and I was inspired by you, Ryan, to do this. A year ago, you taught me everything I know about starting a physical products business, and I've gained so much from your podcast. I just wanted to give back a little bit. And really, the basics of the private label podcast, I'm not going to go into detail and teach people the nuts and bolts of building a business. There's plenty of other people doing that. And for our new friends, our new tribe members, the ASM course and what they're going to learn inside the tribe for now is all you need to know. What I'm going to do in the podcast is introduce you to the people I've met over the last year, the real rock stars in this business, the people that are actually out there doing it. In most cases, they're selling at least $50,000 a month, most of them on Amazon, but other channels as well. I've got an interview with someone today that did over $1 million last year on Shopify. So I'm going to introduce you to them, let you learn from their experiences, their failures, their successes, and hopefully that'll inspire you in your business.
It's Private Label Podcast, correct?
Yep, privatelabelpodcast.com, and you can find me on iTunes as well as Stitcher.
Cool. So it really is in the same way that us Amazon people live and die by sales and reviews, us podcasters live and die by subscribers and reviews. So
Yes.
Kevin is doing a really good thing. So many of you who are listening right now, actually, can we do an experiment?
Let's do
Can
it.
we
Let's do
do an
it.
experiment together? All right, cool. So here's what we're going to do. So Tribe, we're going to do this I'm pumped right now. Okay. So we as a community are going to get Kevin to #1 in business. Here's what we're going to do. Okay, so I have a theory, and I think algorithms, even though I have no idea what, like, numbers scare the crap out of me. But figuring out how algorithms work is really, really exciting. Kevin, where are you ranking in iTunes right now?
Right now in business, I've slid a little bit. I think I'm in the 60s.
60. All right, cool. And you're new and noteworthy, right?
Yes, I'm Justin New and Noteworthy.
All right, cool. So for those of you who are watching on live stream, we'll also do a post about this in the Facebook group. I want to see what happens when a group of several hundred people get behind an idea in a podcast. So I would like all of you who use iTunes to pull up. Oh man, you're gonna love me forever, Kevin.
I already do.
So I would like all of you to pull up Private Label Podcast and just subscribe to it. Even if you don't listen, just subscribe to it. I want to see what happens when a community of people just decide, let's all support this podcast. Because it's really good stuff anyway. You all are going to benefit as a result of listening to Kevin. Kevin runs a really successful business. So all of you are going to benefit anyway. So pull up iTunes, search for Private Label Podcast, and subscribe to it. Let's see what happens over the next couple of days when a community of people all at once subscribe to a podcast. So privatelabelpodcast.com, but go to iTunes, type in Private Label Podcast, and subscribe. Let's see what happens as a community. I just want to see what happens to the algorithm. Nerd with me for a second. Geek out with me for a day, and subscribe.
Hey, Ryan, you're awesome. Thank you so much. And Tribe, I love you very much. Thank you. I'm going to do everything I can to bring some good stuff to you each week.
Cool. Thanks, man. All right, let's...
I can't figure out how to use iTunes.
Are you serious? All right, so are you...
I don't use podcasts.
So you just type in Private Label Podcast.
It doesn't work. It says my library. It's obviously not my library.
Okay, so are you on... Oh, you're not logged into the store.
Yeah, go to the store, Sean.
You're in
Yeah,
store.
I'm in the store.
Okay, so go here. We'll do it the slow
search
way.
store.
There you go.
No, but it still says my library.
Don't click my library. There you go.
All right. Computers are hard.
So
Hey,
I'm
Ryan,
actually.
isn't he your tech guy?
Yes. He indeed is my tech guy. Yeah. So I'm gonna do it right now here too. Private Label Podcast. Everybody who watches this later is going to be checking to see where it ends up ranking. So it usually takes about 24 hours for everything to kick in, but we'll find out tomorrow how that ranks. All right. Oh, and by the way, let's do the same thing for Freedom Fastlane. If you're not a subscriber for Freedom Fastlane, go over to iTunes and hit subscribe, or I will sick my evil cat at you while you're sleeping. All right, so let's take another question. We've got a few more minutes before we make some announcements. So anybody who would like, go ahead and take the floor.
Hello?
Why, hello, go ahead.
Hi. My question for you is touching on the consumables again. How do you tell or differentiate when something is high quality, other than the fact that maybe the manufacturer has been licensed? How do you know that what the product is actually of high quality, and how do you advertise that as well?
You figure that out pretty naturally in time, but when you're first starting out, the only way is to test it. The only way is to get a sample, test it yourself, have a couple people.
Well, with something like supplements, though, just to use that as an example, let's say calcium, for example. If calcium was going to be the supplement, that's not necessarily something that you feel, right? So how with your common sense do you know if it's of high quality?
So again, if calcium was your featured product, and as you get to know different suppliers, you find that out pretty quickly with experience. But if you're not experienced in that, then it just comes down to looking at where do they source it. Are they certified in certain regulations? What's the formulation or the sourcing of whatever ingredient is in there? And if you're not an expert on that, then I don't know that there is a way besides giving it to somebody who is an expert or sending it to a lab to have them analyze what's in there. Do most people do that? No. If you want to be extra sure about making sure the quality is the type that you want, then you need to go that extra mile to do that. But again, most people don't do that. Most people would love to just take whatever product is, slap a label on it,
Right,
and ship it over to Amazon. Is that the best thing for the customer? And usually not. So it's a matter of how thorough in your process do you want to be, and how well do you end up knowing your suppliers and the sources they have things. We were satisfied knowing the formula of the product, the source of the products, and the certifications of the suppliers. At this point in our business, though, we can identify a lot by those pieces of criteria, and we now visit our suppliers if they're domestic. So we're at that point, but when we were first starting out, it was just about what was in there, who else have you served, what's the source of your products. Okay, we're going to make the best decision with the information that we have, and then we learned along the way.
Right. Thank you.
Ooh.
I don't know if this is any help, but there's a website called labdoor.com, so labdoor.com. If you Google that, it's basically it's an independent reviewer of supplements, and so yeah, that might be something worth looking into in terms of getting a supplement, because they check against the quality of what they say on the label versus what's in the pot. So I don't know if that's just worth looking into.
Thank you, Elliot.
That's really cool. Thanks for
Thank
that. I hadn't heard of that.
That's great.
It's great if you want to, as a consumer, get supplements as well,
Exactly.
because it'll tell you if the one, if they're any good.
That's great. Thank you.
That's really interesting. I wonder if this could be used as like a launch source.
Oh yeah. People will go to sort of see, yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thanks for that. That's really interesting. Cool. Yeah, we've got one more. Go ahead, Carmen.
I was just going to say, do you know when the ASM conference is yet?
I would like to know myself. We're scheduling some things ourselves. But no, I don't know that it's been finalized yet.
One kind of quick question, and this is from Jason W., who's a part of the tribe but wasn't able to be here and texted me. But one thing that he noticed was on a lot of supplement labels, typically they focus on the ingredients as opposed to the benefit. So the big text is going to be something like, for turmeric, it says turmeric versus joint inflammation. Is there a reason why
Yes.
it's that way, or
Absolutely there is. If your product or a supplement is ingredient specific, meaning somebody has gone and typed in turmeric, they already know why they're taking it. Now, if somebody is typing in joint supplement, that's a completely different frame of reference for the buyer. They're looking for the all-inclusive joint supplement or whatever it is, or inflammation reducer. But somebody who types in turmeric or calcium, they already know why they're taking it. They've already been sold on it. So looking at something that's a general joint supplement, they're going to go, I don't want this mixed with anything else. I want the pure stuff. They're two very different approaches. Both have their place, but that's the reason why some will say one and some will say just the product. Make sense? I don't know what the reference is, but we're going to see. Yeah, this is almost ready. It's more kind of like a toxic soup, but it's edible. You got yours too?
Yeah.
All right, so Sean and I last night made ice cream, and it was a little freeze burnt, so we let it sit out for about an hour. This is the ultimate test. Are you ready, dude?
Mine's more frozen than yours, but
I mixed mine after I went to bed last night. You ready? Mine's actually really good. So,
I had a quick question.
is it about ice cream?
Did it actually take an hour to defrost?
Yes.
Okay, then.
Great question. Go ahead.
A quick question. Obviously, I just joined ASM5, and when you're going through and you're picking your product and you're trying to find the niche that you're going to get into, and you find a product that's clearly topping the top 100 in several different categories, but has no reviews, is that a type of product that you kind of want to stay away from, or?
So your question is, in the strange exception where somebody is ranking for keywords and in the top 100 but doesn't have a lot of reviews, what do you do with that? In most cases, that is someone who has just done some sort of a blast, or they're faking their sales.
Or could it be just a new product, something brand new?
Possibly, but that you'd only get those numbers, especially if you're in the top 100. That's usually they did some sort of a blast. so it's a new product. Do not make a decision based on what the data is today. Track it over 7 days. Because if they just did a blast, but there's no demand for that product, that could go from 98 to 10,000 within 7 days. And
Yeah,
then,
because I've been following it for probably 2 weeks now, and it's just consistently just kept moving up.
are there other
Like I
products?
said, also there's almost no reviews, maybe 5.
Are there other products in that space selling the same thing?
Yes.
Are they selling it successfully?
It's really hard to tell.
Because if not, that person's probably faking it.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
So what I would do for, not for that product in particular, the next one in line, you can use, try and add them to your cart and try and add 999 pieces of inventory. Amazon will give you an error saying only 200 in stock. Write that down, do it again 24 hours later, write that down, do that for a week, and you'll see their volume, and then you can calculate between the differences in the points you got, how much they sold in 24 hours.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Because that gets around the FBM trick.
Right.
Some people will fake their sales by ordering a bunch of fake orders through Fulfilled by Merchant, but they're not real orders. So
Okay.
you actually track the number of sales that go out through FBA.
It's only what's in stock.
I see. It'll just show what actually went out.
Okay.
Not for like a full week, because Amazon's most of Amazon's metrics are all jacked up, but over a week you can get a good average.
Anything interesting come on the
Someone wants to know if we're going to replace Bluebell with our ice
Absolutely.
cream, and the answer is yes.
Yeah, so we're over time, but we'll wrap up here. So Ryan follows a very specific diet. He eats a ketogenic diet, which means my whole body runs on fat. I don't eat any carbs, maybe like 20 grams of carbs a day. And I've been craving chocolate. So we decided to do coconut milk, like pure fat coconut milk, chocolate, and then stevia. So we made our own versions of basically ketogenic ice cream, which is why we have these giddy looks on our face while we're making this. Anybody give me anybody do ketogenic in here? Anybody?
Yep.
Elliot does?
Yep.
Like
Bulletproof coffee fan, yeah. It's good shit.
holy cow. Oh,
Have you tried Dave Asprey's ice cream recipe?
I have not. I didn't know he had one.
Yeah, it's called Get Some Ice Cream. Weird name, but there's a story behind it. But it's really good.
Cool.
It's really good.
That'll be worth a Google. I'll give that a Google. All right. Danny, I'm looking into the fitness, martial arts industry. Most suppliers are from Pakistan. Anyone have an experience with buying? Post that to the tribe, Danny. There's probably plenty of people who have worked with people in Pakistan and India. There are people who have used sources from there. I want to make a couple announcements. All of you should block out on your calendar December 10th through the 13th. Some very special things are going to be happening December 10th through the 12th to the 13th. I almost said the 12th, not 13th. It will be affordable, and it will be very worth your time. That's all I can say right now. But block that on your calendar. I will have more info for you as soon as it's available. It will be a couple weeks. I'll block that out. It's something that we'll want to be a part of. I guess on that note, anything else you want to add? Special things are going to be happening. That's it. Cool. All right, tribe. So same time every week. And in the meantime, you can ask questions in the Facebook thread, and we will be in touch. We'll talk again next week. Your assignments for this week, if you are new to this business, have a product picked out so we can look at it next week and start talking to suppliers if you're not already. Get prices, get quotes, find out what their shipping times are, find out what their turnaround times are, because we're going to start planning accordingly for that. So have a couple products picked out, if not already, and start talking to suppliers, get quotes, timetables, because we can reverse engineer and plan accordingly for what those shipping times are going to be. Those are your assignments for this week. Bring them to the call next week, and we'll see you on the next call. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Everybody.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.